Okay, so it hit me really hard how much Bowser was unequivocally wronged by not being given his own unique victory theme in Smash Ultimate. Let me tell you why. Bowser's had to share with the rest of the Mario cast all the way since his Smash debut in Melee, which in itself wouldn't be super unfair. Dr. Mario, Luigi, and Peach all share with Mario as well, but the theme itself is derived from the level complete music from the 1985 Super Mario Bros. This theme is supposed to indicate a victory for the protagonist, and a success for the protagonist amounts to a loss for Bowser, so making this his victory theme seems kinda like a slap in the face. I get you might be thinking, but it's not the same, it's got like electric guitar and shit. Come on, be honest with yourself. Additionally, Smash Ultimate marked the arrival of the widely requested Donkey Kong villain, King K. Rool, and he gets his own victory theme in his first playable Smash appearance. Bowser has been a primary Mario antagonist since 1985 and appeared in at least 30 titles since then, whereas K. Rool debuted in Donkey Kong Country in 95 and has only appeared in like 10 titles since then, and only been a primary antagonist in like 4 of those. I'll acknowledge that Ultimate reuses a lot of victory themes from Smash 4, and K. Rool wasn't in that game, so this necessitated making him a theme for Ultimate. But they could have just given him Donkey Kong's or a modified instrumentation like what they did for Mario and Bowser. I love Rare and King K. Rool, but if he deserves his own theme, then Bowser definitely does, since he's a much more established franchise villain. Also, Dark Pit gets his own theme, and he's pretty much just a reskin of Pit, and has only appeared in one franchise game ever. I just don't understand why after all this time Bowser hasn't been given his own theme. The only thing I can think of is that maybe he got cancelled for hate speech after the Mario Kart 8 trailer incident. The more I thought about it, the more I realized Bowser wasn't the only one who was wronged. In fact, I'm going to go through all the franchises that appear in Smash Ultimate and organize who is currently sharing with their series protagonists when they could have their own theme, and then what the exceptions are. Then I want to give some of them their own, because it's just the right thing to do. Before I get too far into this, I want to acknowledge, of course, that I'm not the first person to do this. GB6 has a playlist of videos of unique themes for each character. Also, Project M and some of its offshoots all gave their rosters more unique themes than the official Bubbies titles. I decided to do my own because I don't agree with a couple of the choices. Some of the themes were made from clips of existing music and sped up or otherwise altered at the expense of sound quality. I don't think all of them fit tonally in Smash Ultimate, and most importantly, I'm really bored. A tier list is definitely not the ideal way to go about this, but I'm doing it anyway because the lack of efficiency is funny. I'm not even going to go through franchises in any particular order. Yoshi kinda goes in between these because for whatever reason Smash treats him like he's his own franchise. I know there are a ton of Yoshi games, but who the hell thinks of Yoshi and is like, oh yeah, Yoshi from Yoshi games? He still was sort of wrong when they cut out the end of his victory theme.
Yoshi wins!
So yeah, that's about it.
Wow!
Alright, now we're gonna make a tier list of who is the most wronged by not being given their own victory theme. Bowser, Ridley, and Ganondorf not having their own themes is an affront to God. I've already discussed why Bowser should have his own, so here are defenses for Ridley and Ganon. Ridley and his various forms have served as primary or secondary antagonists in the Metroid series in at least 8 titles since 1986. And honestly, even when he's not the primary villain, he's much cooler and iconic anyway. Ganondorf has been sharing with his series protagonist since Melee. Granted, when he first appeared, he was mostly a Captain Falcon clone.
Show me your moves!
Ganondorf hasn't appeared in a Zelda game since Twilight Princess in 2006. Despite this, he absolutely deserves his own theme after his iconic appearances in some of the best rated games of all time. Fingers crossed for Breath of the Wild 2. King Dedede is brimming with personality and nuance in every appearance. While he's not always an enemy to Kirby, it's pretty rude to make him share Kirby's victory theme. Wolf is not so much an antagonist as a rival, but he's a pretty unique character and has had his own distinct theme since Star Fox 64. Bowser Jr. is a little unique since his alternate skins are the Koopalings, which are separate characters entirely. I don't personally feel they were all cheated quite as bad as the other characters so far. I feel like Mewtwo and Lucario deserve to be in a separate category from the other Pokemon, but it's not necessarily super unfair for them to just use the generic Pokemon theme. Ken definitely has his own themes in Street Fighter games, but considering him and Ryu are more of rivals, it's not a travesty for him to use the Street Fighter theme.
I did it!
There are a ton of characters who share with their series protagonists who I don't feel were wrong despite having clear choices for themes available. For example, Dr. Mario's game is really unique, but, you know, like, he is Mario. The main Luigi's Mansion theme would have been a really easy pick for Luigi, but, you know, like, whatever. And then there's the ones who share with the series protagonist, but I don't care. Piranha Plant is such a generic Mario villain, it's like putting a Goomba in Smash. Daisy is literally just a reskin of Peach. I'm sure the Earthbound/Mother games are great, and I've listened to a lot of their soundtracks because they're really cool, but fuck Lucas, I hate him. Alright, so let's go through these and give some of them their own themes, starting with Bowser. I think all the victory themes should be either derived from a first appearance or the most iconic theme associated with the character, one that leaves the biggest impression. For Bowser, I don't think his themes from the earliest games would translate well, but one that really sticks is his Super Mario 64 theme. Nintendo seems to agree, given that this theme was used in other titles. Project M seems to agree as well, but I take issue with their version based on one simple thing. In my opinion, you can't just go da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, and not go da-na-na-na-na-na-na. So I fixed that with mine. I think Bowser Jr. and the rest of the Koopalings should have distinct themes from each other. They're really different and have had pretty different roles in the games they appeared in. The Koopalings first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3 and used this fight theme. This theme was also used in New Super Mario Bros. Wii as the tower boss fight. And it has a pretty nice arrangement in Ultimate. I tried to recreate this with similar instrumentation to Bowser's, and I think it works really well. Alternatively, I made a theme based on the castle theme from Super Mario World. I'm not sure it works as well tonally as the first one, but I really like Super Mario World, so I made it anyway. As for Bowser Jr., his first appearance is as Shadow Mario in Super Mario Sunshine, but Shadow Mario's theme is kinda just a variation of the classic Mario Underground theme, so I don't think it would translate well. You could make an argument for the airship theme because he's got a whole ass armada in Super Mario Galaxy, but that theme is originally from Super Mario Bros. 3 and Bowser Jr. wasn't even born yet. I personally think his most characteristic theme is his boss fight from Super Mario Galaxy, so I went with that. Ridley has had the same theme or variations of it since Super Metroid, and it's a really badass theme. The Smash Ultimate remix is particularly good. You might be wondering, well in that case, why didn't you just use that version? Well shut the hell up, asshole. Ganondorf has also had a pretty consistent theme. It's appeared in Zelda games since Link to the Past. You can even hear it in the castle theme from Breath of the Wild. It might be a little bit too long, but it works and I didn't want to speed it up anymore, so whatever. While we're still in the Zelda franchise, I'd like to point out Zelda has also had a pretty distinct theme since Link to the Past, but it's also usually referred to as her lullaby, so I'm not sure it'd work in a fighting game. I also made one for Sheik, even though I don't necessarily think she needs one. I made her one anyway just because I really like her theme from Ocarina of Time, but then I realized the sort of soothing, graceful quality doesn't really fit with her victory pose animations in Ultimate. Except maybe this one. I don't think it's unfair for all the Links to share a theme because, they're all Links. Even though the canon timelines make it clear they're not the same person. But yeah, Young Link and Toon Link both have a wealth of themes to choose from. And actually, maybe since Breath of the Wild Link is explicitly from one specific title, maybe he should have his own theme? The main Breath of the Wild theme is the obvious choice. Maybe that's too obvious though. It should be something you hear a lot in-game.
Link wins!
Perfect! For King Dedede, I used his classic theme from Kirby's Dream Land. I thought about using Fountain of Dreams, but that's already a Smash classic on its own. Also, that theme was sort of a one-off, whereas this one or variations of it have played during 15 boss fights with him. A problem I ran into is Kirby's victory theme in Ultimate is really short, only 4 seconds long. And since King Dedede shares it, his win animation is also really short, so there is sort of a time constraint for this one. For Wolf, I originally tried to recreate the more orchestrated version of his theme from Star Fox Assault, but I wasn't really thrilled with the result, so I went with something more similar to the classic N64 version. I tried to incorporate some of the main melody as well as the intro chords. I meant to record a workflow or like a time-lapse on some of these, but I forgot, so I'm gonna go ahead and make one more, and this time I'll record it. I'll be making a victory theme for Diddy Kong based on the level clear boombox thing from Donkey Kong Country 2. You know, this one. There's a nice pitch bend thing right at the beginning, and the best pitch bend I know of is the THX sound. The only issue is it's way too long, so we'll go ahead and just shorten that up. Nice. Resample it so I can control pitch easier, get it nice and in tune. Next we need bass, so I went with the most iconic bass I could think of. We only really need a couple of the notes. And see, it's already really coming together. We'll just finish up the riff here and alright. Next we'll drop in a generic default drum kit, get all those beautiful MIDI rectangles in place, and we're almost done. For the melody, there are kind of like chimpy monkey sounds, and I don't have any of those, so we'll use the sound SpongeBob makes when he walks. The only recording I could find that wasn't a 10-hour version was Ear Rape. Okay, so I'll just take this chunk right here, put them in the right spots, add a delay for authenticity, get a reverb bounce track in here, and add a whole bunch of mastering effects I used on a different project. And we're all set. Yeah, so that's pretty much fucking perfect. Thanks for watching. I'm kissing you. I'm gonna leave you with one final thought.